Sino-Russian power pressuring USA. The cooperation between Russia and China economically, financially, and militarily has changed the global geopolitical and socioeconomic map. And guess what? America is increasingly becoming a mere participant in the rising Sino-Russian New World Order. This new reality has hit the masses and even the leaders of America hard. Hence the question, how did Russia and China achieve this incredible milestone in the last 10 years? And how is this new reality making Russia able to dodge all the old and potential new sanctions by the West over the issue of Ukraine? Keep watching till the end to gain knowledge that will not just help you see the new big picture, but also how to plan for your future and investments. Okay, let's go. China has the world's biggest economy. It manufactures everything that can cross your mind. It also has the world's second strongest army. Forget everything you know about China as a sweatshop because, well, it's BS. The average monthly income in China is $4,500 a month. And by the way, the cost of living in China is interestingly low. Meanwhile, Russia, the world's third military superpower, the planet's backbone of natural resources, the de facto global breadbasket, the survivor of sanctions and immense Western pressure, the master of the energy, debt relief, and food-orientated foreign policy, have evolved into a globally loved and widely respected state that steps in and fills the gaps where the West fails or creates enemies. Both Russia and China have been transforming the foundations of their national and international policies into the strategy of equality and stability is a win-win situation for all. The innovation and progress are impressive despite the massive Western machine of disinformation that constantly bombards you, me, and everyone on the face of the planet with terrible and terrifying images about the two nations. The truth is, once Russia and the USA resolve the Ukraine and NATO crisis, and once China ends its harsh and inhumane treatment of the 50 million Muslim Uyghurs, it would become nearly impossible to find any serious flaws in either Russia or China, despite both being a one-party regime. America's no different when it comes to the issue of leadership. Most people on the planet see the US democracy as a one-party system that is similar to a coin that merely has two faces. The Russians hold elections, and the competition within the United Russia Party is fierce. In China, the president has to answer to the powerful and complex Communist Party, which is not communist anymore because most of its members are capitalist entrepreneurs, scholars, and even scientists. Putin is not a dictator. Most Russians love him and did elect him. He did marvels for Russia and its people. China's President Xi Jinping has turned China into a stable modern state, and he's loved by his people and keeps getting selected for new terms by his party, which he does not nor can control. The rising Sino-Russia-centric New World Order has transformed the definition of democracy to include the people's ability to live in dignity, stability, prosperity, decency, safety, and peace, while under the rule of a large group of progressive political, business, and academic elites who are fully dedicated to the well-being of their peoples and countries. Americans may think that having to choose a Democratic or a Republican leader every 4 years is the ultimate form of democracy. However, all evidence points that these elections are not the source of America's success and wealth. The West's model for democracy may work well in the West. However, the new rising form of democracy in the New World Order is working quite well in many nations. The new Sino-Russian designed world order is not about regime changes and destabilizing nations to protect interests and maintain global hegemony. It's about convincing regimes, no matter how bad, to transform into charismatic, progressive, tolerant, and educated entities that bring peace, prosperity, and stability to their people while closing the gaps of inequality. China and Russia are achieving this through integrating the leaders of these nations along with their business and academic elites into the increasingly integrated global financial, energy, manufacturing, security, human rights, and scientific system in which wealth is better distributed, and the super rich are simply taxed citizens. So how did Russia and China create a new world order? Russia and China accepted their places in the world. China accepted the fact that it's the world's #1 factory for everything, hence all people on the planet are potential customers of everything. China is putting the customers first. Meanwhile, Russia accepts its place as the country with about 30% of the world's total natural resources and a major pillar for global food security, hence it has been acting accordingly. Russia and China are not even remotely interested in spreading their cultures and way of life, hence their business model is easy to accept by other nations. Meanwhile, the United States has been focused on spreading its culture and way of life rather aggressively. It's hard to define what was and is America's place in the world. America has more than 800 military bases and many intelligence-gathering stations and espionage networks around the world. It also has a long history of securing its interests around the world through violent force, fear, harsh deadly sanctions, and economic coercion. Russia and China in the past 12 years began to challenge America's business-as-usual via violence or forced coercion model. They began to step in where America is creating enemies or failing. This behavior resulted in the transformation of Russia and China into true soft-powered giants that provides non-evasive protection and economic solutions for many nations. Russia and China have also mastered the art of cooperation. They are both superpowers, yet they literally do not compete in anything. Their relationship in the past 20 years has been based on mutual respect, cooperation, and honesty. In comparison, America has been treating its biggest trading partner, China, like shit, to be frank. Russia and China also want everyone in on the profits and progress. The two countries are cooperating in building the Silk Highway for commercial transportation, which extends from East China through Russia to Belarus in Europe. This highway would allow trucks to travel between China and Europe in just 11 days, as opposed to 30 to 50 days by sea and 50 days by rail, making the new Silk Road the fastest overland option. This means they want Europe in the loop as the partner in the New World Order. And guess what? Europe frankly needs them too, despite their differences over NATO. China-Russia trade reached $147 billion in 2021, up 35.8% from the previous year. However, both countries do much more business with the EU and Europe in general than with each other. Russia and China have vowed to raise their trade turnover to $200 billion by 2024. Recent economic trends alone suggest the countries are likely to reach that goal. Russia's Gazprom and the China National Petroleum Corporation signed a $400 billion 30-year agreement deal in 2014 to build the Power of Siberia gas pipeline. In December 2021, Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping agreed to develop shared financial structures to enable the two nations to deepen their economic ties without the interference of third-party countries. Of course, they meant the USA. The relations and ties between Russia and China are indestructible. This relationship is making them a formidable force. The New World Order they are creating has only one enemy: America. Not because they want to be enemies with America, but because America is not willing to change nor give any concessions and become a partner. It demands far too much from both countries in many areas. Right now, the USA is putting the whole continent of Europe on the edge of war just to expand NATO closer to Russia. China and Russia do have plenty of military cooperation and allies. However, they don't have an organization like NATO, which is dedicated to unwarranted counterproductive expansion based on the Cold War mentality. I do have to mention here that the entire NATO agenda is anti-Russia and anti-China. China and Russia do put on joint shows of power through joint military exercises. However, their mobilization is often reactive rather than proactive, meaning they mobilize in response to America's military mobilization. China and Russia can bank on each other to counter any sanctions by America and the West. Any new sanctions on Russia will cause harm to Russia, Europe, and even some American corporations. Hence, it's a lose-lose situation. Would you like to learn more about what influences the world's economies and global financial flows? Then click on one of the videos that shows up on the left or go to our channel to find other interesting topics. And I'll see you next time.